We try to stay in our lane here and stick with stories of black violence, black criminality, black dysfunction, black and white hostility all over the country. But every once in a while, I get something from Australia that is just so compelling, mostly because it seems so much like what's happening in the United States.
Police have defended their lack of response to a 000 call by a terrified Point Cook resident. Fearing two men were trying to break into his house, the homeowner told Curry-Ann Greenbank he was forced to arm himself with a baseball bat to check that the intruders had left.
A Point Cook resident of 16 years, Paul says he's about to move suburbs, fed up with crime and frustrated with the lack of police response after calling 000 fearing two men were trying to steal his cars and about to break into his house.
3 days sleepless, perimeter lights around the entire house, walking the floors all night, looking out our front windows. My wife's been in tears for 3 days.
It was 2:30 on Sunday morning. CCTV footage shows a red car drive past Paul's house, then return and park in the driveway. Flashlights shine around his cars before Paul says two men try to bash down his front door.
Knowing that I had a steel security door, I opened the door and I challenged them, asked them what the hell they thought they were doing. I'm yelling to my wife, grab the phone, call 000, get the police as quickly as you can. She's beside herself. She's trying to do that.
40 minutes later, police still hadn't arrived.
And I said, well, is somebody going to come and see us? And he said, we've got other incidents similar to yours happening in the area, so no, they won't.
Paul says he was told it should be safe to check his cars, so armed with a baseball bat, he did so. He then posted a warning on a Facebook community page, but says it was removed because he described the men as Sudanese. Police have described them as African in appearance, late teens to early 20s with a slim build, and say while no one spoke with Paul that night, they did have unmarked police cars patrolling the area. Late this afternoon, local police officers attended Paul's house. He says he was told there'd been a breakdown in communication after a number of similar incidents in the area that night. An official report has now been made.
Police have finally caught 6 teenagers wanted over a citywide string of violent home invasions. It took several days to get them off the streets, leaving victims and their families frustrated, frightened and angry.
A shattered family leaves Sunshine Police Station still reeling after a midnight home invasion.
Terrible, horrifying. You can't sleep, you can't work.
The family, including a 91-year-old, were at home in Derrimut early Monday morning when 4 thugs smashed through their front door. This morning, in a stunning coincidence, the family was in reception waiting to meet with police when one of their accused attackers surrendered at the counter. They had no idea it was him, unmasked.
I feel shocked. Only I know he's near me.
Now they want retribution.
I want to hurt him like he hurt my old man, my wife and my sister.
The 17-year-old was there with his lawyer and an uncle.
I don't have anything to say about this.
Police say they've caught all 4 responsible for 3 home invasions and a carjacking this week. Ali Sari was arrested in Kingsbury last night. A court heard the 18-year-old is withdrawing from cocaine, ecstasy, Xanax and alcohol. Critics say police should be able to release details of underage suspects without children's court approval.
We've got young thugs running rampant, hurting people, creating a great deal of fear, and police being hamstrung in their efforts to apprehend them.
But the court says it didn't cause the delay, that police waited 4 hours to release their names and faces last night. A 16-year-old boy and 20-year-old man who were also arrested in Kingsbury last night have been released without charge so far. Police say there are no other suspects and all 5 stolen cars have been found.
The lawyer for a man accused of a series of home invasions and carjackings has expressed concern for his safety. Live to Lana Murphy at Dandenong Magistrates Court. Lana, what's she worried about?
That he'll be vulnerable in custody due to his age and his appearance, Pete. That's right. Despite allegedly terrorising families across Melbourne during a 2-day crime spree, Ali Sari's lawyer says he is the one in danger. The 18-year-old is withdrawing from Xanax, cocaine, marijuana and ecstasy and is charged with 18 offences, including aggravated home invasion, false imprisonment, theft and carjacking after he allegedly smashed his way into homes in Bentley East, Derrimut Derrimut and Mernda with a gang of friends holding its occupants at knife point while ransacking the property and stealing luxury cars. Police allege that the group netted more than $400,000 worth of property during this crime spree, which included carjacking a woman as she loaded her small child into her vehicle in Port Melbourne. Now, Sari was arrested with a 16 and 20-year-old inside a car along Massey Avenue and Reservoir around 9:45 last night. The latter two have since been released pending further inquiries, while three 17-year-olds are also facing a number of serious charges. Sari will remain in custody until he fronts a Melbourne magistrate on Tuesday. Pete?
A huge gang of violent African teenagers has run wild along the St Kilda foreshore, fighting each other and bashing and robbing beachgoers. Witnesses say there were at least 200 teens, including young women, causing trouble.
On St Kilda's busy foreshore, the group of young women square up to each other before fists and feet fly in every direction. It was a disgraceful level of violence which took place in front of dozens of beachgoers. It was a worrying indication of what was to come.
Unfortunately, last night we've had a large number of youth attend of African appearance who have engaged in antisocial behaviour. They've committed crimes. They've been involved in a number of assaults on the foreshore of St Kilda.
Witnesses estimate the number of African teenagers causing trouble along the foreshore was close to 200. Alex Carter's 16-year-old son was one of the victims. He and a mate were punched repeatedly and robbed.
They'd taken the other youngsters, his phone and his watch, and they even took his shirt. So left them sort of standing half nude in the street.
Alex's son was too frightened to speak about the ordeal, but has told his dad the offenders knew exactly what they were doing.
These guys are so clever the way they do it that it looks like a couple of teenagers just sort of having a bit of fun. So they're absolute professionals.
A number of witnesses dining in the area say police struggled to cope with the huge volume of angry teens.
The police officers handled it as best as they could. I think they were really outnumbered and they struggled to get a hold on it.
Later in the evening, there was a huge brawl at the McDonald's involving 60 teenagers of African appearance. Chairs were thrown and a window smashed. Police are still unsure as to how many victims they're dealing with and are asking anyone who was targeted by this violent group last night to come forward. They also want the offenders to make themselves known to detectives.
Their behaviour was just totally unacceptable, and I'd call on them to come forward, hand themselves in before we track them down.
So that was a smooth move 10, 15 years ago when the wise people of Australia got together, put their heads together and decided they were going to do two things. One, grab everybody's guns. Two, import a whole bunch, tens of thousands of people from Africa.
Please, sir. I want some more.
What? How's that working out? Next time you need a gun, grab a baseball bat. They don't even play baseball down there. Why don't they have a cricket bat? They play cricket all the time. Hell, for that matter, just use a damn soccer ball. It's going to be about as much good if there's a whole bunch of fellas out there. But one thing I did realize from that video, maybe I knew it before, maybe you already know it. In Australia, just like the States, not a good idea to make the black kids angry.